Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so Black Clover Chapter 216 is finally out, and after a 2 week long wait, we finally get to continue the conversation where Julius basically said that either the Clover Kingdom will end up being destroyed or Asta's going to end up dying. And I've seen a lot of people come up with their own theories these past 2 weeks while we're waiting for this new chapter to come out as to why Julius said this. Mostly people have been saying that basically Asta will probably end up dying in defense of the Clover Kingdom when I would say probably the Diamond Kingdom, that's a country I see most people throwing out there, would invade as a way to try to take over the Clover Kingdom in their weakest point. And if he does end up dying because he failed to defend the Clover Kingdom, in response it would end up being destroyed by, again, the Diamond Kingdom. And that's mostly what I've seen people talk about online. I've seen a few here and there people mention the fact that maybe the Clover Kingdom, or not the Clover Kingdom, maybe the Diamond Kingdom or one of the other countries actually would invade in order to basically capture Asta and take his anti-magic abilities for themselves. And you know what? Based off what we end up finding out from Julius in this chapter, those theories aren't really that far off. Alright, so basically in this chapter, Julius puts forward the idea that he actually knows exactly what's going on with Asta's abilities. He knows the fact that Asta gets all of his abilities from a demon, which is surprising to Asta because he, up to this point, even though he did kind of meet the demon when he first summoned his black form, he wasn't fully aware of the fact that it was a demon. He felt a similar presence to that as when he was fighting the demon that he just fought in this past arc, but he still wasn't confirmed on that until just this moment. And we actually get a reveal as to what's going on with those horns that Sakura actually has. In this chapter, we end up finding out again from Julius that basically the horns that Asta had in his dark form are actually a result of using forbidden magic. And what we end up finding out is that basically when Sakura used her sealing abilities to try to seal the demon in the book, or in the grimoire 500 years ago, she ended up basically using forbidden magic as well. And that's the reason why she has horns in her human form, and now is actually sealed inside the body of a bird, even though she can now freely transform back and forth between the bird form and the human form. Now, Noel actually ends up having a very interesting reaction to this reveal that Asta's powers actually come from a demon inside his grimoire, because of the fact that she remembers that when she first saw Asta's black form, she thought that his form actually resembled a demon that her grandmother used to read to her about as a child, which is actually very interesting because of the fact that this could mean that the Silva family actually has some pre-existing knowledge of the anti-magic demon that we weren't fully aware of up to this point. Which, while I don't think we're actually going to get revealed that information at the current point, I think in the near future we actually could go and visit the House Silva and end up finding out more information from her grandmother about exactly what's going on with the anti-magic demon, his history, his backstory, stuff of that nature. We also end up finding out more information about each of the other kingdoms, basically just a brief description that Julius gives in this chapter, but through those descriptions, we actually end up finding out enough information to basically guess exactly how these other countries would be involved with the Clover Kingdom in the future of Black Clover. So for starters, we already knew about the Diamond Kingdom, so we already knew that basically the Diamond Kingdom was a very militant group, very militant country. That's the reason why Mars actually went back to try to reform it from the inside out. But what we didn't know about this up until this point is that the Diamond Kingdom actually has done a lot of demonic research, basically in an attempt to boost their militant power, so that they could actually try to invade the Clover Kingdom. So that's actually kind of interesting, and this could actually lead into the theory that a lot of people have had over this past 2 weeks, that maybe in the near future the Diamond Kingdom would invade the Clover Kingdom in an attempt to actually gain Asta's anti-magic abilities for themselves. The Heart Kingdom, which is actually the country directly connected to the Clover Kingdom on the left side, is actually the more neutral of the other three countries, and actually they rely more on nature and actually are mostly unexplored, so the Clover Kingdom doesn't actually have that much information about them, except for the fact that, like I said, they rely mostly on nature, and basically due to their reliance on nature, they have a different way of using spells than any of the other kingdoms. But like I said, most of the information is actually unknown about them. And then finally, directly to the north of the Clover Kingdom is the Demon Country of Spade, which, just like the name suggests, in Julie's description basically says that they kind of worship an ancient demonic being that rules over them, and that's basically where they get most of their power. So there's also really not much known about them besides the fact that they live to the north, so they are actually a winter country. Now, based on what we end up finding out about the three countries in this chapter, I can make a quick estimate or a quick guess as to exactly how they will be involved in the future of the series. Obviously, with the Diamond Kingdom, we will actually be visiting them very soon. I actually think they will be the very next arc after we're through this current arc that we're going into, because of the fact that they are the most immediate threat, as I believe, since they have been the one to invade us the most. And basically, we're probably going to see Asta, Noel, and some other characters go into the Diamond Kingdom to help out Mars in the future endeavors, and him basically trying to reform the Diamond Kingdom from the inside out. So we'll be dealing with that in some point in the future. Now, when it comes to the Kingdom of Hearts, I can't stop thinking about Kingdom Hearts every time I say that. All right, when it comes to the Heart Kingdom, basically, I think once we actually start delving into what's going on with the dwarves, finding out more information about them and some of the other unexplored and unknown about species that exist in the world, I think that's where we'll end up finding them about. So basically, once we get into finding out more about Charmy's backstory, we'll probably find out that she's somehow connected to the Heart Kingdom. They will go there and end up finding out more about the dwarves, elves, and some of the other unexplored non-human races. And then finally, with the Kingdom of Spades, once a new demonic threat basically comes up in the series, I believe that's where we're going to go to end up finding out more information about it and to find a way to stop it, or possibly the demonic being that the Kingdom of Spades actually serves might be the next demonic threat that we have to deal with. Now, the reason why Julius basically gave us this brief description of each of the other countries is basically to show that any one of those three, a little less the Heart Kingdom, but basically any one of those three at any time, after they hear about exactly what happened in the Clover Kingdom, could take the advantage and actually try to invade them. And basically this means that they are in a dire situation where they can't afford to lose any of their military strength. But unfortunately, because of what just happened, a lot of the Magic Knights were actually seen openly attacking civilians, taking lives, and fighting against the Magic Knights who were still trying to protect the civilians in the kingdom. Now, Asta immediately jumps to the defense of all the Magic Knights who were being controlled by elves, saying that they weren't in control of their bodies, they had no real fault there's no real fault to be had on their part. And he even goes as far as to say that even the elves were being manipulated by the demons, so even the elves don't really take any of the blame for what just happened. And surprisingly enough, Julius actually agrees. And this is when we actually end up finding out exactly the reason why Julius said that Asta would most likely end up dying. So basically what Julius reveals is that the Magic Congress will actually try to use Asta's own argument as a reason to protect the Magic Knights. Basically, they will say even though the public saw the Magic Knights attacking civilians and killing civilians, they will argue that the elves were controlling their bodies, so they were not in control of it, and that the elves were actually being manipulated by a demon all along. And because of the fact that Asta actually basically gets his power from a demon, they will use his connection to demons as a scapegoat, as they'll say it was his fault that everything happened, and basically use him as a way to basically gain favor with the public again and protect the Magic Knights. So in other words, Asta will be sacrificed as a way to keep the majority of the military force that the Clover Kingdom has. That way, if in case something does happen, like an invasion for the Diamond Kingdom or from the Kingdom of Spades, then they will still have a fighting chance because a majority of their military would still be active. Now, while I personally don't agree with this on a moral standpoint, I gotta admit, politically, this actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, why lose 1,000 soldiers when you can lose just one? That being said, there's no way they're going to kill Asta in this arc. Obviously, they're going to find some way to get him off without dying. But this is actually going to lead to a very interesting development and kind of a development we've seen in the Naruto series. And that basically, we're going to see Asta kind of go to the same route that Naruto did in the beginning of the series. Where because of the fact that he has a demon inside of him, a majority of the public is actually going to treat him very differently than they have before. Basically, a lot of them are actually going to be afraid of him because of the fact that they know that the demon is actually responsible overall for everything that just happened. So knowing the fact that Asta actually has a demon inside of him will actually lead to them being very fearful and very hateful towards him. Now, obviously, the characters who actually know him personally, even the commoners who know him on a very personal level, won't believe this and actually will defend him and actually continue to act the same way they have throughout the entire series. But we could possibly see in the near future a majority of the Clover Kingdom, despite the fact that Asta throughout the entire series has fought harder than anybody to defend them, will actually be discriminating against them. Now, ultimately, what actually ends up happening to Asta actually falls in the hands of the Magic Congress. Basically, whether or not they decide to reveal the truth about the demon to the public and actually let Asta, even though obviously he won't end up dying, let him be discriminated against by the public because of the fact that he actually gets his power from a demon, or they're going to keep the information on the down low and actually protect him. Like I said, ultimately comes down to what the Magic Congress decides. And we actually end up meeting, I believe, the head of the Magic Congress by the end of the chapter. Basically, after we get finished with the conversation between Julius, Asta, and them, we end up seeing that basically Seke was protecting the Emperor this entire time, which I'm pretty sure was revealed the last time I actually saw the Emperor, that maybe Seke... No, actually, I think Seke actually we see in flashbacks in this chapter, Seke actually ran into him while he was running away from the conflict. But anyway, we see that he was protecting him this entire time, and they actually got very lucky that Seke's magic bubble actually lasted long enough for the elf that he was fighting to basically go off or basically be expunged from his host body. But anyway, while the two of them are actually, kind of celebrating the fact that they survived the entire ordeal, they actually end up getting attacked again by 4 nobles who actually are basically trying to revolt against the current regime. But once they actually end up getting attacked, even though Seke doesn't have any mana left to defend them, they end up getting saved by this guy named I want to say his name's Damnadio, something like that. And the reason why I think he actually might be the head of the Magic Congress is because of the fact that his magic is some way tied to a scale that you usually see having to do with kind of law enforcement and judges. And you know what? It's pretty safe to say if this guy actually is the head judge or the head of the Magic Congress, that he actually comes from the Kira royal family, because we end up finding out right before this that the Kira royal family actually runs the Magical Congress. And if you remember, the Kira royal family is actually the family that the actual Emperor of the Clover Kingdom stems from. Now, with this reveal, this actually could explain away why Noelle and Mimosa actually were called to this meeting, because of the fact that the two of them actually stem from the other 2 royal houses, that being the Vermilion House and the Silver House. And because of the fact that they actually are very closely connected to Asta, they could actually stand to sway the Congress in their favor of basically protecting him and not getting him sentenced to death. And you know what? It actually is a pretty good idea, because of the fact that Asta actually does have a lot of favor in both the other 2 royal houses. He obviously hasn't met anyone from the Kira house besides the actual Emperor, who does not like Asta at all. But when you come to the Vermilion house, you have Fugoyan, you have Mario Iona, you have Leo, you have Mimosa. They all actually like Asta, so they actually would be willing to step up and talk into his defense. And when it comes to the Silver House, you obviously have Noelle, and in most recent chapters, you actually have Noelle, who actually has gained a little bit of respect for Asta. So it's safe to say that the two of them at least would stand up and actually talk in Asta's favor, and basically getting him off the hook on this whole situation. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all that happened in the chapter. Now, I'm actually, like I said, really worried about this next arc, exactly how fans are going to react to it. Just because of the fact that I know when it comes to like action heavy series like Black Clover and even Attack on Titan we saw, once it starts moving away from the action and getting into political stuff, fans tend to riot. They tend to actually go online and actually talk about how much they hate the arc. Like I said, the Attack on Titan political arc is actually the most hated arc of the entire series. And I'd hate for something like that to happen to Black Clover, even though I believe Black Clover has gained enough popularity that it could survive a political arc even if fans turn away from it. It's still new enough that I don't think Shonen Jump might actually be willing to pull the plug on it if enough fans go away from the political arc and actually, voice their anger towards it. And since Tabata Yuki's actual previous work, Hungry Joker, actually ended up getting canceled pretty early on and actually didn't get serialization, there is precedence that Shonen Jump actually could end up canceling Black Clover as well. But anyway, like I said, I'm hoping things go well with this whole entire political arc. Maybe fans will actually be more willing to enjoy it because of the fact that we just got off a very high arc and are willing to actually let a slow build arc like this actually go forward. But we just had to wait to see. But like I said, that's pretty much it for the video. That's it for the chapter. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.